Good evening and welcome. Tonight, banditry rears its rare ugly head again in Niger State as a divisional police officer and 4 other policemen are killed by terrorists in communities in Munia and Gurara local government areas. Here's the last lap of political campaigns across the country. The All Progressives Congress, whose voters make stopover in Nasarawa State, as the PDP asks electorates to reward the party by coming out en masse to vote for the party. Nigerian Governors Forum describes the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy as draconian, maintaining that the apex bank's approach negates global best practices. And officials in Turkey issue 113 building arrest warrants in connection with the construction of buildings that collapsed in Monday's earthquake, which has so far claimed over 33,000 lives. We begin tonight from Niger State, where bandits have killed a divisional police officer and 4 other officers while repelling attacks on communities in Munia and Gurara local government areas. Now, according to the police public relations officer in the state, Wasiu Abiodun, the victims were killed in a shootout with bandits who attempted to invade communities in Munia and Gurara. He said although many of the bandits were killed, Mukta Sabiu, a divisional police officer in Paiko, and 4 officers also lost their lives. The officers were able to repel the attack on a market in Munia local government area on Friday and engaged the bandits during an attack on communities in Gurara on Saturday. He further stated that another set of bandits had tried to attack communities around Lambata when they were engaged in gun battle with security operatives. Although the police spokesman identified the slain DPO, he, however, did not reveal the names of the 4 other policemen. We're staying with security. The Nigerian army says it will not rest until it ensures that banditry, kidnapping, insurgency, and other forms of insecurity are flushed out of the country completely. At a familiarization visit to Taraba State, Governor Darius Ishaku, the new general officer commanding 3 Division and Commander Operation Safe Haven Bagudu, Ibrahim, solicited support and cooperation from the state government to end all forms of insecurity in the state. Governor Ishaku, on his part, appreciated the military and sister security agencies for their quest for peace, but laments the inability to rescue 7 families of the family members of a monarch killed recently by kidnappers.
We would want every state within this country to be free of crime, to be free from bandits, to be free from kidnappers and whatever. And we will not rest on our ours until we flush out all these criminals. Kidnapping is no longer a crime per se. Kidnapping is becoming a business. People can even kidnap their brothers, or people can even plan to kidnap just members of their family, get what they want, and go away. That we intend to stop. And gradually, Your Excellency, I'm assuring you, it's a matter of time. We want a situation where, like in 1993, where you can drive from Okwari, pass through Jalingo and go to Yola no matter the night and return no matter the day or night time.
We thank all of you for being there for us, for the good jobs that you are doing. And I will any time continue to say I have extreme respect for the Nigerian military, for the police, for the civil defense, for the DSS. All of you are well trained. All of you can do the duty very well, provided, I repeat, provided you are given the enabling environment. I will still continue to plead with the federal government to do what it takes to keep our armed forces truly armed, to keep our armed forces truly intelligently equipped. Because you can imagine kidnapping, this is something that I know that if our troops are well equipped with everything, in 24 hours they should get them out.
Let's head to the campaign trail now. Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State says the 2023 general elections will be about showcasing what the various political parties have done for the people. The governor was speaking at the People's Democratic Party's rally in Agatu local government area. He asked voters in Apa, Agatu and Ohimini to cast their ballots for the PDP for continuity and to sustain the momentum in project execution.
Governor Samuel Ortom and the People's Democratic Party campaign team hit Agatu to remind them to stick with the party in the 2023 general elections.
So we want to appreciate God Almighty for helping us this time.
The administration of Governor Samuel Ortom has delivered several projects in the area, including the access into Agatu communities right from Oshibudu town to Okokolo. The governor wants the people to reward the efforts of the government.
Every local government in Benue State, our presence is there. And I tell you, you have been allowed to cover even our meetings with the traditional council, the religious leaders, and you can see the responses from them. They are excited. We have represented them well, and they want continuity of what we've been doing. That is what they have said.
You saw the crowd that are here. It's an indication of acceptance and acceptance of leadership of the party in this place. Agatu is PDP. Since 1999, we have not lost any election here in Agatu, and we will not lose.
In Ohimini and Apa local government areas, party leaders, including the wife of the governorship candidate, asked the people to make decisions that will yield more results for them in the future.
There are seeds that you plant once, that you water once, you fertilize once and cultivate once. And when your seed grows, you'll never suffer again. That seed is PDP. I want you all to choose PDP because PDP will never let you suffer.
This is Edo, Eunice Otto, PhD. She sent me to send her regard to the women and youth that you should go out and vote for your candidates. She knows that women, when they want to do something, they do it wholeheartedly. And I know that you are not going to disappoint her.
Governor Ortom, who was received into the local communities with performing troops in Agatu in show of solidarity, joins the dance as the party looks forward to the polls, believing that it has earned the love of the people.
Meanwhile, in Nasarawa, the state governor, Abdullahi Sule, has continued with the All Progressives Congress campaign tour to development areas in the state. This time, the party is visiting stakeholders, marking its second round of tour ahead of the elections. The move is coming after the tour of 13 local government areas last year. Our correspondent, Halima Gayom, has more.
Nasarawa state stalwarts of the All Progressives Congress, led by Governor Abdullahi Sule, are on a second round of campaign tour to development areas of the state. This time, he's seeking royal blessings and also interfacing with stakeholders. People shower encomiums on the governor for his efforts at handling insecurity as well as developing infrastructure in the state.
We cannot travel even by 1 a.m. at night because of the provision of security air. There is no reason why the people of Loco won't vote for you.
I want to sincerely appreciate His Excellency for your leadership style. Today, even as you are coming, another construction is going on. And this road is linking Alushi to Medical Center. We thank you so much, sir.
Former Governor Tanko Almakura adds his voice.
We did not make a wrong choice. If you look at the project he's executing, in my tenure, I did half of the work in 8 years. But look at what he has done in 4 years. Look at the completed projects. If given another opportunity, don't we think he will do more?
For the governor, opening the state for investment through road construction is imperative.
Once we construct the road from Umasa to Katapa, you will see flour mills in a rush there to invest. We can't have the massive employment and wealth we want without such investment.
During the tour, Governor Sule inspects the ongoing Luvumadaki Road in Karu, renovated Government Girls Secondary School Wamba, and distributes empowerment items to some party faithful. The APC also received new members.
Declare my support not only to the governor but to the party and as well APC daga sama har kasa.
As the APC campaign train leaves the western and northern zone to the southern part of the state, the party says it is optimistic of retaining power in the state, promising more dividends of democracy. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
And in part two, after the break, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, calls for full-scale investigation into growing cases of pre-election violence across the country. And our in-house data analyst, Babajide Ogusowo, takes a look at women's voting power in 2023 general elections. Please join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Banditry rears its ugly head again in Niger State as a divisional police officer and 4 other policemen are killed by terrorists in communities in Munia and Gurara local government areas. It's the last lap of political campaigns across the country. The All Progressives Congress, whose voters make stopover in Nasarawa State as the PDP marks and asks electorates to reward the party by coming out en masse to vote for the party. Nigerian Governors Forum describes the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy as draconian, maintaining that the apex bank's approach negates global best practices. And officials in Turkey issued 113 building arrest warrants in connection with the construction of buildings that collapsed in Monday's earthquake, which has so far claimed over 33,000 lives. The provisions for the voting process in the imminent 2023 general elections, where it's a mixture of digital and manual, could allow for fraud given the human element. That's the view of legal practitioner and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Jibrin Okutepa. He told Channels Television's Ladi Akeredolu on our election issues and personalities tracking program. Roadmap 2023, the manual collation of results, leaves open the opportunity for attempts to manipulate the results in favor of selected candidates.
By the new Electoral Act, INEC has been empowered to use the Viva machine in accreditation and had issued guidelines that that's what should be used for accreditation. That is a laudable, very lofty innovations by our parliament, and I commend them. But the only snacks I have there is also the requirement of having conducted the election, then the requirement of entering the result from Viva machine on Form E8As by the polling unit officers or by the electoral officers of the various polling units, and so forth. For me, that is an open invitation for perpetration of electoral fraud. Because, again, we are back to human elements. I ask questions. Why should we use Beaver's machine, do accreditation? And our thinking faculties did not avail us the opportunity to say that the moment the Beaver machine had done accreditation and somebody had voted, the same Beaver machine should print out the results. Why should we engage the human elements in the political system to copy results from Beaver machine? The obvious result is what you have seen, although it's still in contest, in Osun State, where we had 3 sets of results. One given to one party, another given to another party, another one they call synchronization, and so on and so forth. So we were still, for me, we have a system where Our laws will give you something lofty with one hand and take it away with bad hands on the other hand.
Watch the full interview with Mr. Kutepa on a Roadmap 2023. It airs tomorrow, February 13 at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project is asking the International Criminal Court to promptly investigate growing cases of pre-election violence across the country. In a petition dated February 11, 2023, sent to Mr. Karim Khan, prosecutor at ICC, the rights group notes that if the issue is not addressed quickly, it may escalate and lead to post-election violence in the country. SERAP asked the ICC to send its legal team to Nigeria to promote free and fair elections in the country and gather potential proof of election-related violence before, during, and after the general elections. The petition follows reports of election-related violence in several states, including Lagos, Rivers, and Kaduna. And with just less than 14 days to the kickoff of the 2023 general elections, many citizens cannot wait to find out the impact students and youths will have on the election outcome. Question, however, is how much power will the female voter wield in this election? Sharing the facts and insight with us is Babajide Ogusowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst. Guess we'll return to Babajide in a minute. In the meantime, the Nigeria Governors Forum has described the ongoing new Naira swap and withdrawal limit placed by the Central Bank of Nigeria as draconian, insisting the apex bank's approach negates global best practices. The governor stated this position at the end of a meeting they held on Saturday, February 11. According to the forum, rather than subject citizens to the current hardship under the guise of pursuing a cashless policy, the CBN should have first created a suite of incentives to attract customers before deploying this policy. The governors believe strongly that the CBN is pursuing what they describe as a currency confiscation program instead of the currency exchange policy that is envisaged under Section 20, subsection 3 of the CBN Act 2007. The forum also decries the banks for not complying with the Supreme Court ruling, which ordered the CBN to suspend the implementation of the policy and call on the federal government and the CBN to respect the rule of law. Meanwhile, the Ekiti State government has applied to be joined in the suit against the federal government at the Supreme Court of Nigeria on the Naira redesign policy and the deadline issued by the Apex Bank for the swap of the old Naira notes for new ones. The application for joinder, filed on Friday at the Supreme Court by the Ekiti State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Dayo Akpata, was hinged on acute shortage of the supply of Naira notes in the state, leading to severe hardship for citizens. The state government equally averred that the situation has adversely affected the revenue, levies, and taxes accruable to its coffers following paralysis of economic activities. Another premise cited by the state government is the fact that Ekiti State is a federating state of Nigeria and therefore has interest in the determination of the originating summons in the suit earlier filed by 3 states in the federation. And in Kano State, the State Consumer Protection Council has closed down a supermarket, WellCare supermarket, for failing to accept all Naira notes from customers. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje ordered the closure of the store, as confirmed by the acting chairman of the council, Bafa Baba Danangudi. He warned other marketers in Kano to be aware that the state government has not banned the use of old Naira notes as legal tender. Therefore, any shop owner caught not receiving the old notes would be dealt with according to the dictates of the law. Meanwhile, the management of WellCare Alliance Limited has forwarded an apology letter to the governor, seeking his immediate intervention to reopen the supermarket. Kano State is one of the states that has sued the federal government over the Naira redesign policy. The Nigerian Navy says it's leaving no gap in its promise to promote safe and secure maritime activities on the Gulf of Guinea. It's part of the commitments by the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, at the concluding ceremony of exercise Obangame 2023, which is an at-sea maritime program meant to improve cooperation and capacity among participating nations.
Obangame Express gets underway off the Lagos coast, with the Nigerian Navy deploying 9 ships, 2 helicopters and gunboats. The essence is to give bites to the Navy's resolve to combat illicit activities such as piracy, drug trafficking, smuggling, illegal bunkering and other maritime vices on the Gulf of Guinea. Officers and men are taken to the high sea, where simulation and containment exercises of real-life maritime threats are carried out.
Very good.
Participants are also drilled on anti-trafficking, gun-nets, anti-piracy, and many more.
The exercise is geared towards enhancing cooperation with our international partners and countries of the Gulf of Guinea. It is also geared towards evaluating the operational efficiency of Nigerian Navy ships. The exercise is to be conducted for a period of 7 days, and several scenarios have been created, which I'm sure you have witnessed 1 or 2 already.
With the exercise done and lessons learned, an assessment takes place with recommendations from partners and observers.
I have seen the level, the capacity, the professionalism that your forces execute, not just in the exercise, but every day. And as a regional leader, to understand the importance of the Nigerian Navy and what they present, we have to share our capabilities and our capacities. We have to share information. And maybe most importantly, we have to share beyond our military capabilities, as was so well described in the exercise, bringing in your law enforcement, bringing in justice, bringing in fisheries, all of those things that are important to protect your resources.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, expresses delight at the outcome of Obangame Express 2023, which enters its 12th edition.
I say exercise Obangame Express for this year did not only bring together all of us, it created the environment to improve competencies by relating with one another, which to me is a secret of great success, which we have achieved during this exercise.
Besides improving cooperation and capacities of participating navies, its impact is projected to cut Africa's trade deficit by 51% and boost intra-African state trade by 33%. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
Now, if you've been counting, it's less than 14 days to the kickoff of the 2023 general elections. Citizens are still wondering what impact women and youths will have on the outcome of the election. Our focus tonight, however, is how much power the female voter will wield in this election. The man with the answers, Leadership by Data founder and Channel Television's data analyst, Babajide Ogusowo, is here with the answers. Babajide, great to see you. Couldn't have you earlier, but it's nice to see you here. So is there data, though, that women will have a significant role in the outcome of this election?
So it depends on how we look at it. There are 3 key things we should consider. The first is, in 2019, Amachi, there were 40 million women registered to vote. Now, 44 million. The second is, in 2019, there were only 8 states that had more female registered voters than male. Now, there are 9 states that have more female registered voters than male. The third and final thing we'll look at is to look at the difference between the southern female voter and the northern female voter. But let's take a look at the states that have the highest concentration of female voters, the states that will then be able to look at what will likely go on. And these are the facts. In 2019, there were only 8 states that had more female registered voters relative to men. All 8 states were in southern Nigeria. 4 of those states in the southwest, Osun, Ekiti, Ogun, and Oyo, in 2019 had more registered female voters than male voters. In the southeast, another 4 states, Anambra, Imo, Enugu, and Ebonyi State. What you'll notice is that in 2019, there was no northern state that had more female registered voters relative to men. All 8 states that had more female voters came from southern region. But look at what's happened in 2023.
Sorry, is there a reason why that is?
We need to interrogate it more. Perhaps what we see is that more women are liberal in the southern region. More women are liberal. But we've seen a state in the north this time around where it has more female registered voters compared to men, and that is Kogi State. Just like 2019, Oyo State still has more female registered voters today. Anambra State still has more female registered voters compared to men. Same thing with Ogun, Imo, Enugu, like 2019, still has more female registered voters. The difference now is Kogi State. Today, Kogi State is the only state in the nation that has more, in the northern region, that has more female registered voters relative to men. And that is the fact. So those 9 states will influence who becomes the president, House of Reps winner, Senate, and all the other elective positions.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, if there's not much of a difference, it's possible that it's the same people who registered the last time that also registered this time, right?
It's the same people, but again, in the database last time, 40 million women, now we have an additional 4 women, 44 million women. And 9 states right now have more female voters. Now we have Kogi State, the only state in northern region that has more female voters. In all, I would say the southern region has quality representation, quality. And I'll explain the difference between quality and quantity as we go on.
Yeah, and so what are the factors that women prioritize before they cast their ballots? I know the women think very differently from men. There are issues that are more important to us than, the menfolk.
Yeah, so again, let's take a look at the facts, because that will allow us to know what exactly is going on. Now, among those 44 million registered voters, the fact shows that half of the women who are registered to vote live in 13 states. And if you look at those 13 states, 8 of those states are in the southern region, 5 of those states, again, are in the northern region. Lagos today has the most female registered voters, 3.2 million. We see Kano, Kaduna, Katsina with high representation as well. You see Lagos, Kano, Kaduna are the only 3 states that each have more than 2 million registered voters. In all, keep an eye on these 13 states, because these 13 states are the states that account for half of all women who have currently registered to vote. But what we also need to look at is what I call the quality, the quantity of representation. Because when INEC did the registration, they asked a vital question, and that was, as a woman, what is your profession? Are you a housewife? Are you a student? Are you a trader? But the fact shows there are some states that have significant high concentration of housewives. And that influences, what they talk about, buy one, get one free. In the northern region, that is where we have a high concentration of housewives. And I would like us to focus a bit on that and the implications of that on the election.
And maybe the significance as well, because you've mentioned the issue of housewives before and the large numbers of them registering to vote in these elections.
And housewives is the key. Housewives are the key. It has been understated, but I would like to show you how important housewives are if we're able to quickly look at the information on housewives to show how concentrated housewives are. Now, here's what I mean, Amachi. Look at these 12 states. Zamfara, 911,000 women have registered. 82% say they are housewives. Jigawa, 1.1 million registered women. 80% say they're housewives. In other words, the states that have the highest concentration, the 12 states that have the highest concentration of housewives are in northern Nigeria. Again, I'll repeat that. The 12 states that have the highest concentration of women who say they are housewives are in the northern region. Here's why this is important, and I'd like you to pay close attention to this. These 12 states, the same candidate always wins it. In 2019, one candidate won all these 12 states. In 2015, one candidate won all these 12 states. In 2011, one candidate won all these 12 states. You're wondering what is happening? What is happening is the evidence and the surveys shows that in these states, the leader of the house is the man. And in most times, it influences the direction the housewives vote. Right. So that's why I talk about buy one, get one free. When campaigning, if you're able to convince the family head in any of these states, then you've also gotten his housewives. You've gotten his family. So you get one vote from a man in any of these 12 states, you're able to get his housewives because the women who mainly live in these states are housewives. And again, I repeat, same candidate won all these 12 states in 2019, same candidate 2015, same even 2011. The question is, will the same candidates win the same states? What the jury is out saying is that even if the same candidate doesn't win all the states, the same one candidate will win majority of the states, and that leads, and that is the route to victory. Housewives, it has been underplayed.
Well, I guess on the side, you avoid, any political wrangles at the dinner table because everyone is on the same page.
Everyone is on the same page, but don't forget there are only 19 states in the north. 12 states in the north has the highest concentration of housewives. And what we've seen in the last 3 election cycles is that one candidate has always won the states. We've interrogated why, and one major explanation is because in these 12 states, they have the highest concentration of housewives. So when you get one person once you convince one person, once you convince the leader of the household is able to convince his wives.
Yeah, but I was wondering, though, whether women do prioritize some issues more than the men when they're thinking about elections.
So the surveys show women prioritize health, women prioritize education, women prioritize income, the welfare of their families. And that's what the survey shows. Health, they prioritize education, and they prioritize the welfare of their family. But in the final analysis, it's 2 weeks to the election. Next week when we do this, I'll share what all Nigerians want to know. Who will win this election? So next week, Sunday, I'll provide the facts, and you'll find out who will win this election.
Wow, you have a crystal ball ready for us, I guess, Babajide. Always coming up with these props. Thanks again for joining us on the News at 10. Appreciate your being here. Well, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, have arrested a cleric, Nodu Azuka Kenrick, a student of Emmanuel College of Theology in Ibadan, Udezuka Udoka, and their freight agent, Oyoyo Mary Obase, over attempts to export methamphetamine and skunk consignments concealed in kegs of palm oil through the NACO export shed of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja, en route to Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Mr. Nodu was arrested on Saturday, February 11th, at his church in Ijesha area of Lagos, following the arrest of 2 suspects, Oyoyo Mary and Udezuka Udoka, on February 9th. In her statement, Mary indicted the general overseer of her newfound church, Nodu, and his son, Chisom Obi, who is now at large, as the persons that gave her the consignment for export after being compelled to take an oath of secrecy. In the same vein, NDLEA operatives attached to the Sako export shed of the Lagos airport same day intercepted a cargo going to London in the United Kingdom. And the consignment were food items packed in a carton, and 4 walls of the carton were used to conceal 1.10 kilograms of methamphetamine, while the freight agent Agolo Emmanuel, who presented the cargo for export, was immediately arrested. NDLEA operatives on Tuesday, February 7, intercepted a consignment of 1,340 kilograms of cannabis sativa coming from Ogbese in Ondo State in a liquefied natural gas truck to Okurikang Okoyong in Odupani local government area of Cross River State. Over in Kano, 4 suspects were arrested in connection with the seizure of 229 blocks of skunk weighing 131.1 kilograms. Here in Lagos, no fewer than 4 members of a syndicate using dispatch motorcycles were used to distribute illicit drugs in Lekki were arrested on February 5th, 2023. A controversy is trailing the death of Whitney Adediran, a 12-year-old student of Christian School in Ikeja, Lagos. While the school authorities claim Whitney collapsed during the school inter-house sports on Thursday, her father, Michael Adediran, says his daughter died from electrocution. The school authorities, in a statement on Sunday, said the student slumped in public view and not under any hidden circumstances, adding she was rushed to the nearest medical facility for first aid. The father is, however, calling on the Lagos State government to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of his daughter, whom he says was hale and hearty on the day the tragedy occurred. Meanwhile, the police in Lagos say the case is already under investigation by the State Criminal Investigation Department in Panti after it was reported at the Penn Cinema police station. Lagos State Ministry of Education has ordered the temporary closure in the meantime of Christian School in Okpebi, Ikeja, following the reported death of a student of the school, Whitney Adeyemi. A release signed by the State Commissioner for Education, Mrs. Folashade Adefisayo, said the closure was ordered pending the outcome of a full investigation into the incident. The state government also calls for calm and assures the public that no efforts will be spared in investigating the incident. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has described as the first of its kind Trinity Towers, a 12-story building housing the City of David, a branch here in Lagos of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Christian Church of God in Victoria Island, Lagos. The Vice President was speaking today at the dedication of the church building, which was attended by other dignitaries, including the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. A pastor of City of David, Idowu Oluyomade, explained that the project, which took over 5 years to execute, became a reality through the zeal of God. Meanwhile, the Catholic Women Organization, a group of women serving the church in charity and empowerment and of women assisting in the development of the church, has inducted new members into its fold. The organization also raised funds for the development of the church and service to different communities. Our correspondent, Dare Idowu, has more.
It's a special day for the Catholic Women Organization. The women are dressed for the ceremony, the first in over 10 years. But first, the sermon. The priest speaks about marriage as ordained by God.
Marriage is not easy. Divorce was not God's plan. It was never part of God's plan. Marriage is for better, for worse. Let us try and manage our marriage. Today again, Jesus tells us to avoid false oath. He wants us not to swear at all. Rather, he says, let your yes be your yes.
Enable me to always respond to you in faith.
The women inducted are now new members of the organization.
I hereby grant you participation in all the graces and spiritual benefits of the Catholic Women Organization in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Fundraising and awards ceremony is held at another hall within the church premises.
On behalf of Freedom here, I am pleased to present this award for you.
Different members of the organization are awarded for excellence and their contribution to the group.
We try to show love amongst ourselves. Mainly, we try to be involved in all spiritual activities, in the parish activities up to the archdiocese level. We try to help the less the vulnerable women amongst ourselves and visitors, the old people. And when we are called upon, whether by the parish priest or whether the Archbishop has a project, we go through Simola, we support Simola to support the Archdiocese.
Yamati to Zion,
The Catholic Women Organization was set up as an umbrella body for all women in the Catholic Church to nourish their faith. It's also a medium to hear their voices and give them assistance to serve their communities. Dari Idu, Channels Television News.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, and the Governor of Gombe State, Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya, have commended the giant strides of Governor Maimala Buni of Yobe State on the construction of projects that have direct impact on ordinary citizens. Both leaders were speaking during the commissioning of the Nguru ultra-modern market, built by Governor Maimala Buni to create jobs as well as boost economic activities in the state.
Nguru, one of the ancient cities and a commercial nerve center in Yobe State, is filled to capacity as Governor Maimala Buni fulfills one of his campaign promises of building an ultra-modern market.
Sharing common boundaries with some states.
The governor explains that the project is aimed at creating jobs as well as increased internally generated revenue of the state.
It may interest you to know that our government engaged in a voyage of economic diversification to boost job opportunities and income generation to augment states' internally generated revenue. Nguru town is strategically positioned, sharing common boundaries with some states and international borders with the Niger Republic. I am highly optimistic that this market has provided the enabling environment to stimulate the economy of the community and the state in general.
The president of the Senate, who hails from Yobe North, where the project is sited, and the special guest of honor, Governor Mohammed Inuwa Yahaya of Gombe State, commend Governor Buni-led administration for constructing more projects in the state despite the effects of Boko Haram insurgency.
Your Excellency, this edifice is by no means a product of vision, a product of courage, and a product of conviction. In these hard times, especially coming on the heels of the insurgency and the consequential effects of displacement and other social dislocations, it takes a man of courage to come up with this edifice.
What we have done here is to give us a means of generating wealth, is to give us a means of generating employment opportunities for our youth and others.
The contractor notes that the project has been completed 100% and gives a breakdown.
Honestly, not is compromised. It's built according to the standard way of building, of the 21st century building. It's a fireproof market that was built with red bricks.
So far, 3 out of the 6 ultra-modern markets proposed across the state have been completed and commissioned, while others are at various completion stages.
Traditional rulers in the Niger Delta region have pledged their support for the ongoing review and sanitization of the Presidential Amnesty Program by Interim Administrator Major General Barry Ndiomu, while warning those engaging in mudslinging to desist. According to Major Ndiomu, since the assumption of office, he disclosed his plans to establish a cooperative that will help boost businesses in the region.
The Presidential Amnesty Program has been on for the past 13 years, and opinions are divided as to whether or not it has achieved the objective for which it was established. Ghost beneficiaries, huge debt burden, mismanagement, incessant protests, unemployment are among many issues that have marred the smooth running of the program. To address this, Interim Administrator of the program, Major General Barry Ndiomu, since assuming office 4 months ago, has been engaging stakeholders, including traditional rulers in the Niger Delta, who are supporting his reforms.
Buying peace will not give us lasting peace in this region. If there is crisis, if there is problem, we the traditional rulers that dwell in this Niger Delta are the people that are going to suffer, are the people that are going to run around to make sure that peace reigns in our various kingdoms.
It is very clear that new ideas are being brought into the administration of the program, and so the rancors, the wranglings that you are seeing are just few persons that want to maintain the old order, but we all know that the old order is not benefiting more persons. If the intention of the current administrator is to ensure that this program is carried out in such a manner that it benefits a larger society.
After giving an account of his stewardship, especially in the area of debt management, he announces the formation of cooperatives that will help young entrepreneurs in the region assess funds.
The Presidential Amnesty Program is establishing a major cooperative entity. The whole idea behind the cooperative is to enable our young men and women access funds easily to develop their businesses and also to encourage entrepreneurship across the region.
The consensus here is that this new drive to reposition the presidential amnesty program will yield positive results in the coming months.
Beyond our shores now, a 7-month-old baby has been pulled out from the rubble of a building in Hatay, Turkey, having survived 139 hours since the quake that hit on Monday. Rescuers also pulled out a 12-year-old girl who had been trapped for 147 hours. Another 13-year-old was saved in Gaziantep today, with rescuers calling the rescue a miracle. So far, more than 30,000 people have been confirmed dead from the disaster in both Turkey and in Syria. Turkish officials have sent out 113 arrest warrants in connection with the construction of buildings that collapsed in the quake. Police say they already have 12 people in custody, including building contractors. And thousands of people are said to be without power in New Zealand's Upper North Island as remains of tropical cyclone Gabrielle hits the country. The cyclone was downgraded from a Category 2 to a Category 1 storm before it made landfall. It's still forecast to bring severe weather. Regions of Northland and Auckland are currently under a state of emergency. It comes as part of the North Island were badly damaged by flooding only weeks ago. Those living in flood-prone areas have been advised to evacuate ahead of the storm's arrival. Further south, Auckland, in New Zealand's largest city, a red weather alert was issued, meaning severe gales, flooding and landslips were possible.
There will be destruction from the cyclone.
Severe weather is on the way. Weather is notoriously unpredictable, so we don't know exactly what that severe weather is going to entail, but everyone across the country should be prepared for that.
7 soldiers from the Democratic Republic of Congo have been sentenced to death for what the court said was cowardice in the face of the enemy and murder. The soldiers reportedly fled M23 rebels as they advanced, retreating through the town of Sake, where they caused the death of 2 people by recklessly discharging their arms. DR Congo has been beset by conflict since its independence in the 1960s. Some have been driven by the fight to control its mineral wealth, others by ethnic rivalry. There's been public anger against the UN and the East African Regional Force for failing to stop the M23 from capturing large swathes of the territory in North Kivu. Fighting in the mineral-rich North Kivu has intensified, driving tens of thousands from their homes, despite a passionate appeal by Pope Francis to end conflicts during his visit to the country last week. Medal Insurance of Benin maintained their unbeaten run in the Nigeria Professional Football League following a 2-2 draw against Shooting Stars of Ibadan at the Lekan Salami Stadium this evening. Imade Osareko opened scoring for the visitors a minute into the game and were 2 goals up by the 38th minute after Ismail Seriki doubled the lead. Malomo Ayojide gave the hosts a lifeline 2 minutes before the break, while Olufemi Adesina completed the comeback to rescue a point. In other results, Ibrahim Mustafa denied Remo Stars all 3 points as the hosts were led to a 1-0 draw by visiting Plateau United. Abia Warriors and Wiki Tourists also recorded same scoreline, while the outcome of the match in Maiduguri between El Kanemi Warriors and Akwa United produced same result. In Enugu, Chidera Eze's 38th minute goal was enough for Rangers to claim their second win of the season at the expense of Doma United. Lobby Stars were 2-1 winners over Dakada, while Sunshine Stars stopped Niger Tornadoes 2-0. In the Premier League, Manchester City are closing in on Arsenal at the top of the table following a 3-1 win over Aston Villa. A champions raced into a 3-0 half-time lead with goals from Rodri, Ilkay Gundogan and Riyad Mahrez. Ollie Watkins pulled one back after the break, but the visitors were no match for a fired-up City at Etihad Stadium. The result put City firmly back on its title race, just 3 points behind leaders Arsenal, with a chance to go top when they play the Gunners on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford extended his hot streak to 12 with a late goal that inspired Manchester United to a 2-0 win over Leeds. Rashford netted with 10 minutes left at Elland Road before Alejandro Garnacho came off the bench to seal United's hard-fought victory 5 minutes after Rashford's goal. The win is United's second in their last 5 league games, but have lost just once in their last 17 matches in all competitions. They're now 7 points clear of 5th place Tottenham in the race to seal for a Champions League spot. And the main news again. Banditry reared its ugly head again in Niger State as a divisional police officer and 4 other policemen were killed by terrorists in communities in Munia and Gurara local government areas. According to the police PRO in the states, the incident occurred while the policemen were repelling an attack on communities. Also today, the Nigerian Governors Forum described the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy as draconian, maintaining the Apex Bank's approach negates global best practices. And officials in Turkey have issued 113 building arrest warrants in connection with the construction of buildings that collapsed in Monday's earthquake, which has so far claimed more than 33,000 lives. That's News at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.